how Chase kind of worked out of some jams.
Yeah, it was this is a good Friday win. I mean, you got two guys that have, in my opinion, major league stuff going at it. I mean, that's what we're going to have in our league. It's what we had down in Arizona. It's just typically what you have on Friday night across the land in college baseball. It was a war of attrition. And fortunately, he came out of the game, as a winner because of the way he worked out of some of those jams. I mean, by nature of throwing strikes and facing good hitters, you're going to give up some hits. But it was kind of a bend, don't break type of deal, or more, in my opinion, on the side of just a gutty effort. When he had to reach down deep, he did. And he got out of those things, and it kind of set the tone for our guys. I think they fed off it a little bit in some of our at-bats. Not that they were poor in the beginning of the game, but our guys realized that they're in it for a dogfight with what was going on with Wild. And they kind of ramped up the competitiveness. And that's what you have to do when the challenge is on the table. You either wilt or you ramp it up. And I'm not so sure there wasn't a few occasions in Arizona where guys kind of wilted. And tonight, even though if you're at home, it's like, man, that at-bat was no good or a guy struck out, I didn't have that feeling tonight, and it makes me feel good about the team, the direction we're going.
Just what did you see from Wild that was kind of creating problems, and then your thoughts on kind of the weather, and did that have an impact at all?
Yeah, I mean, the weather was wild. The weather was wild, no pun intended. I didn't know if we were going to play or not. And it was so difficult that first year in my new role being weatherman. Spent so much time on that. And then, Mr. Haslam kicks in and the school helps finish this project off, and it's been a godsend for us. And tonight might be the biggest night ever. It was, not because of how wet it got, but just because we never have any worries. We just always feel like we're going to play. That's our guys' mindset. And having to watch the wind was interesting. The umpires even said it at home plate. They've never been in charge of wind. It's always been lightning or rain. And they said at home plate, we may have to call this at some point if it gets turns into a circus out here. But anyway, who else did you ask about?
Best starter.
He's good. I don't like him. When you watch on TV or you watch from the side, there's a guy named Biddle that pitched in the SEC a long time ago. I got the scouting report on him from Gary Henderson. He's a coaching legend in college baseball. And Gary said, listen, you're going to watch your guys swing at balls that they should not be swinging at, and you're going to get angry with them. Don't get angry with them, because I've sat behind home plate and I see what it looks like. And so tonight was an example of that. You could easily say, what are you swinging at? But our guys are talking in the dugout, and they were talking about how good the changeup was. So you got a fastball that's kind of taking off on you and playing more firm than maybe the radar gun says, and he was even 90 to 94, but it's playing more firm and kind of riding on you, and yet you've got a changeup that's really deceptive and it's going down. So as a hitter, it's no easy challenge. And he was also hitting his spots. I mean, you could see, talk about rising to a challenge, you could see he wanted to match Doe, and he wanted to come in here and throw well on the road. It's a team that record will even out just fine for them by the end of the year. So for a lot of reasons, I think he and their team had a little extra edge to them, and it made for a hell of a battle for most of that game, no doubt, all the way to the end, really, if you look at it.
How big was it for you guys to get him out of the game in the sixth inning there?
It was a relief for my heart rate, and then also, just to kind of, when those two guys came out of the game, you felt like it was going to be tied. And to have any kind of edge when they both came out of the game, I think was great for Doe to experience, but more importantly for our team, I think it had us in a good position. You'd like to think you can win at home if you could come out of that duel that was going on, with a little bit of a lead, and we did, and it was nice to add on to it at the time that he came out.
What do you think led to your guys kind of starting to figure him out there in that sixth inning?
I don't necessarily know that anyone really figured him out, and I know that's contradictory because a couple guys hit the ball at the park, but Simo's at-bat could have gone either way. He could have struck out, he could have walked, and he just kind of had a little extra to him, that at-bat, and that competitiveness ramped up. I think he fed off a Doe, but also he's that type of guy. I think Maui's like this. Blake is definitely like it. They want it more difficult. And you can say that as a coach all you want. Hey, you got to want a challenge, or the best wins, or the tough ones. But not everyone's built like that. And he is. And that's what came of it. And then, Blake showed what he did in a 12-pitch at-bat. And then Zane Denton, who probably, if you made him take a lie detector test, he probably was like, I'd like to get a home run. I'm capable of hitting a lot of them. And now that first one's out of the way, they'll come in bunches for him, and he'll hit a bunch when it's really important. And one of them was tonight. It was really important. And he went the other way, which he hadn't done a lot left-handed for us. And again, it was kind of that at-bat where you sensed the spikes were maybe in the turf a little bit more, and there was a little bit more grind to it.
Win number 200 here at Tennessee, kind of what's that mean for you?
You just got to listen to John Wilkerson talk about it, because I did the radio first, and he's Mr. Stat Rat. So, you know, it's nice, maybe something to reflect on later. I told him, and I'll just copy the answers, if we're happy about anything as a coaching staff as a whole, we first recognize we haven't even sniffed what Coach Delmonico's done here, which is arguably, you know, the best coach here, at the very least a Tennessee legend. But pretty damn proud this group is stuck together. And there's been a lot of under-the-table offers, over-the-table offers, you know, different things coming up. And I think we're all loyal to this university. I think we're loyal to Knoxville. I think we love working for each other. And I think the kids like being around the whole group, because if it's not a happy marriage, the kids can smell that out as well as anybody. So really proud of that. And again, I told him if we're going to single out a win, I kind of like this one so far as much as any this year, because it kind of had that gut, you know, grinded out deal. And then it spiraled into a big inning, but really it was all about a very, you know, scoreboard you can throw away. This was a very small margin for air game, or a very small difference between us and Gonzaga tonight, and it was kind of that extra grit.
A lot of talk so far this season from our standpoint about Blake in a new role and him thriving, but Christian's kind of in the same mold and hitting at the top of your lineup. Just how have you seen him adjust to such a bigger role in the team, and what you've seen from him so far this season?
Yeah, well, they're both gifted, and I just lump them into the same category. They both kind of, if you were could, you know, look into the future a little bit, they both were so competitive in the dugout and learning and observing in the dugout so much. You knew they were going to play like that, and also was going to pay off. You know, you can sit in the dugout for 300 games and not learn a thing. Or you could be, you know, much wiser, 300 games wiser, because you're locked into what's going on. That's what those guys were. And then the other thing, you know, baseball, you got 9 innings. There's some time, even though we got the pitch clock. There's time, and your thoughts kind of wander, or at least mine do. And there's a lot of Luke Lipsius and Blake Burke. There's some differences, too. That guy coached him up. And whenever he makes it to the big leagues, he needs to make sure Luke's there for his debut. And Christian Moore needs to do the same thing for all 3 of those infielders, because they all kind of took him under his wing and helped educate him on how it's going to go at this level, what he needs to do better. And if anyone's kind of gone from a one point to a very distant other point out of what's on that roster right now, it's Christian. I mean, he's developed physically, but defensively in particular, and then just maturity, how he's much more even keel and approaches things. He's come along as much as anybody. And I really think, again, kudos to our coaching staff, but I think that trio of infielders, especially Trey Lipscomb, they deserve to go to his major league debut. They might be playing against each other, though, I hope.
The impact of the pitch clock kind of felt tonight more than some early in the season. Just what are your thoughts on that rule, and how has your team kind of responded, in your opinion?
Yeah, that was the first one where we had signs kind of involved. As long as the hitter's ready and looking at the pitcher, I'm good with speeding it up. I mean, I think if you had asked me that before and we were not, you know, recording this, I'd say, man, this could get a little wild. It's been okay. I don't know what the times are of the game. And then the umpires, you know, they're being instructed, just enforce it. They don't have room for, well, this is a big situation or not a big situation, or it kind of looks like there's 1 second left. Just enforce it. And they've been pretty consistent. And so all we're doing when we chirp from our dugout is we're defending our hitters. We just want them to be ready. Haven't had many issues from the pitching standpoint. Drew Beam had a ball on him, and Halvey had a ball on him, because at Arizona, they seem to be really quick on the clock. But players across America are just going to have to get a little used to it, and as they will, I think it'll kind of, you know, subside a little bit and kind of be more in the background. You might have, over the course of a weekend, a ball for a pitcher or a strike for a hitter pop up here and there. But by now, everyone knows the rules, and you need to start adapting to them a little bit.